So this is probably going to be a challenging video share, but for some reason I felt like speaking more intimately rather than writing about this felt appropriate, and in the spirit of being transparent and just really sharing raw emotions and processes with you. It might be a long share, so my recorder might go off in the middle of this and I'll just, pick up where I left off and keep recording. But so this video is about my rabbit Joy, who just recently departed and made her transition about a week ago now, and kind of recapping what led up to it, and then sharing about my emotions and process with that, because I know a lot of you have been so sweetly following along with Joy and Cosmo's journey and my own, and have supported all of us very lovingly. And so I want to share this message with you, and also to share with people not only who have rabbits, but in general who go through loss and grief with whether it is your animal companion or a beloved human in your life. I don't feel there's any difference between them, so this is a video share for that as well. So, as many of you know, a lot of the reason for this journey that we're on in the RV, our magic bus as we call it, has been to shift energy within our lives and to explore and find where our homestead will be, but also to just really connect with the earth, and for me to spend quality time in nature and with my rabbits, knowing that they are in those years where I could lose them physically soon, being 10 and 12 years old, which for a rabbit is quite a long time, and it's almost like being 100 and 120 years old. So even that itself is a true gift, because it means we've spent a quality life together, and I have been able to share a lot with them. And so even though it's a natural cycle of them aging and going through things, and knowing that I would lose them soon, it's also challenging anyways, because it's still an emotional connection and physical loss that you go through. So there's layers to that experience. But since Colorado, both my bunnies had some health challenges. Cosmo I'd written about, and he got through his, and then not too long after, Joy started having issues, and that was a process of taking her to a vet finally. It was hard to find one, and nobody wanted to give information or help at the time, so that was challenging to wait, but in the process I supported her, and we were able to get her to see a vet, but that vet didn't find the challenge that we later learned. And later, when I did find out what the first vet didn't see, I'll be honest, there was some anger issues with that, but it didn't last very long. At first I was like, why didn't they see that? But after a few minutes of going through that normal dialogue that happened. It was me just embracing and understanding that there's a divine perfection in things, and that there's timing and alignments happening, and Joy has her processes and intents, and things don't always seem what they are. So I did quickly move through that anger when I saw that bigger picture and embraced it. So anyways, at the time we had treated her for a potential ear infection, which she didn't have, and I never really thought she had either. I always thought that there was a teeth issue. So down the road she continued to have challenges, and by the time we were in the Grand Tetons, it was getting really challenging, and I wasn't able to get food into her, and she was just sort of declining more. Then I found a vet through researching that was in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, which is about 40 minutes from the Grand Tetons. And I called, and they weren't able to get her in that weekend, but they told me you can leave a message for the doctor and see what they can do, but most likely it won't be till the next week. So I did leave a message, and I shared to the doctor personally, what the challenges are. And I didn't think, anything of it. I figured, I'll just have to get her through a few days until Monday, get her past the weekend, which is when I called. That day, we were out hiking. We came upon this chapel called the Chapel of the Sacred Heart, and had a beautiful stained glass of a heart on the outside. And I said, let's go in there and let's do a little prayer for Joy. So we did. We sat inside, and it was just the two of us, Dave and I, and we did some intense, and I, sent energy for her and asked for her to be supported and watched out for, and for peace for her, and for the best possible outcome for her highest good to take place. On the way out, there was a registration notebook where they ask if you'd like to sign your name and where you're from, and I felt compelled to put Joy's name down, and I put Joy from Reno, Nevada. So, and then we left and continued with our day. I didn't have any reception during that time, so I didn't see that I received a voicemail. So I got that a little later, and the voicemail was from one of the techs at the vet saying, we can't get, the doctor is busy, we can't get you in, but it sounds like it's pretty, important, and why don't you bring her in anyways to see another doctor who's not a rabbit specialist, but she could confer with the other doctor. And I was torn, really wanting the best for her to take care of her, but I just felt in my gut that that wasn't going to be supportive, and it would just end up being stressful to drive there and do that, and then not get any real help, and still probably have to return again once the doctor would actually get information for us. So I had made the decision at that point that I was just going to wait and try to get her through to the appointment with the actual rabbit specialist. Well, after I finally made that decision, which was challenging, another voicemail came through. Again, I didn't have reception, and this time it was the doctor personally giving me a message. And I thought that was really sweet of him, and he left a long message and gave me his personal cell phone number and told me, call me tonight anytime, and I would love to talk to you about Joy and help out in any way I can. So I felt as if, my prayers were answered and some divine intervention was taking place. So I did end up talking to him that night and went over everything that had been going on with Joy. I know I'm not telling all the details because, you know, some of it's probably pretty boring, but he said, you know what, bring her in tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow. This is Saturday, but I would love to help you and take her to me, and let's see what we can do. And, you know, he had some ideas of stuff. So anyways, that was the first time that a doctor was just so caring, and I knew that divine intervention was taking place. So I did take her in the next day at the time that he said, and he came in on his day off and spent several hours with me, and we had a thorough exam. We talked about a lot of things. We ran tests and did x-rays and just everything to explore, you know, what was going on and what would be next. And in the process of that, we did discover that she did, in fact, like I thought, had issues with her teeth going on, which the other doctor had not seen or had a different perception of. So whether you want to call it a misdiagnosis, which, you know, most doctors won't say bad things about other doctors, but or just a different perception, they didn't see it. And again, I believe that is because she wasn't meant to be there, and she was wanting to come to see this doctor. So anyways, through a series of, you know, running tests and figuring out, we also saw that she had other things going on that we didn't know about. She had 2 slip discs in her spine that she'd probably been harboring pain for a long time, and we never knew. And rabbits are really good at that and hiding things. So the poor little girl had been having pain with that, besides her teeth, which were causing the challenges, and her stomach showed up having some kind of impact in it. We couldn't tell what, but it was just hugely impacted. And there were some potential other things that later showed up to be nothing, but those were the 3 main things. Anyways, he immediately said, let's go into surgery. So even on his day off, this incredible doctor stayed there basically a full day from morning into the evening, and he called in a tech, and they immediately took her into some surgery, and he conferred with a specialist on things, and he had to make some tough calls during the surgery, but based on, you know, our situation and traveling and not always being able to find doctors and what she'd been going through and her pain, he made some calls to, you know, have to open up her stomach, which I totally supported him with, and found that it was just hugely blocked with all the critical care food that I had been feeding her, and probably due to the fact she wasn't getting roughage and stuff in there, so nothing was moving, and it was just getting stuck, and it was just huge. He said it just took forever to clean it out. Anyways, putting a rabbit in surgery, let alone an older rabbit in surgery, is always risky. And she's 12 and a half years old, and so the whole thing was, you know, we didn't know for sure, but the doctor felt very confident, given the tests he'd looked at and her blood work and everything, that she had the ability and enough in her to fight infection. Her immune system was strong, so he felt really good, and I knew that either way it was the best thing for her, because she was in so much pain, and my only hope and my only prayer has always been that I just want my little ones to have peace, and I don't want them to have pain. So I knew that no matter how the surgery went, it would be the best thing if she went while in surgery. That would be, you know, a peaceful way to go. And if she made it through, then she had the potential of peace from not having all this pain that she'd been going through. So I trusted in that. And she did make it through, and I got the good call that evening that she was fine, and they were, you know, watching her and nursing her through some recovery, and that I could come, pick her up the next day, given she, did well through the night. Because I had to get her eating and eliminating, because that's the most important thing right away, and for rabbits just in general. So anyways, so that night, I continued sending her peaceful energy, and I did get the call the next morning that she was eating and eliminating, and I could go pick her up, because he felt it was best for her to be with us rather than, staying. So she did come home, and I had a huge, he spent, again, this is Sunday, and it's his day off, and it's Father's Day as well on top of that. And he comes in, and he spends like 3 hours with me, getting all of her medications prepared, measuring everything out for me. He made it so simple. He wrote out everything. He explained things. He spent time telling me about all kinds of stuff, and I was just like, oh my God. His family was waiting for him because they were going to go to the lake, and just like, this doctor is an angel, and he's just, he was meant to be there to help little Joy get through not having all of this pain. So after going through the protocol, I was very overwhelmed with everything that I was going to have to do, but I'd already gotten used to the fact that I was running a bunny elder home, taking care of her and Cosmo, and all the protocol that I've been doing, so, it was just adding more to that. But, there still was going to be a challenge, because she needed to recover, and we needed to keep her system going and keep her hydrated and make sure she was getting stuff in her and doing all, 4 different medications on top of that in different times of the day. And so basically the first 2 nights or 3 nights, I stayed and slept on the floor next to the bunnies. I just put down some cushions and just stayed up with them and, slept on and off. But I wanted to care for her and be with her as much as possible, and just didn't want her to be alone. So I did that. And, every day during those 3 days, I was just doing everything I possibly could. The first day she didn't seem to be doing so well, and then on the solstice she was doing incredibly, and I was really, really pleased. And she just was moving around more, and she was eating all the things and she wanted to, and I was just like, oh, this is looking really well. So she made it through the solstice, which is something that I felt that she would, but I also felt that was going to be a pivotal time one way or the other. I felt either she was going to make it through, or that would be her time. But there was just something very important about the solstice for her on some cosmic level, which she has been, so consciously navigating everything in her life. So it made sense that this would also be, near her end, something potential. But she did. She made it through, and that it was a good day, and it was a positive day, and I had hope, but I also was keeping realistic, and I've prepared myself for weeks. And again, like I said, I knew that something naturally, would happen for them on this trip. And so there's been emotions on and off before that, but I just felt, something could still happen. And the next day after the solstice, she declined. She just was not doing well, and it was just like an overnight thing. It was like she was getting radiant for the solstice, and then it was downhill after that. And I couldn't do much that day for her. I was doing all that I could, and I tried to get a hold of the doctor, but for some reason, that was the only day I couldn't get a hold of him. And every other day, because he had told me when I took her home, we're going to become best friends over the weeks to come. I want you to text me, call me anytime, and we're going to talk, and I'm going to help you, and we're going to, you know, continue tweaking her protocol, and based on how she's doing, and I'm going to walk you through this. And I mean, he was just basically like a second father to me, and just this angel that was there, and it was so incredibly, such a blessing. But that day, for some reason, I couldn't get a hold of him, and kept calling and texting, and called the office, but he was in meetings, and stuff was going on. So anyways, that has its own purpose and meaning as well in the story. But eventually, you know, I was doing what I could, and he finally was able to call and apologize that he'd been so busy, and he told me, you know, you really have to just push the fluids. She has to be hydrated, because otherwise we're going to lose her. He's all, if you could find a place to take her, and we could get an IV in her and get the fluids going, that would be ideal. But if not, just do what you can. So of course, you know, long story short, called around and tried Bozeman. This time I was in West Yellowstone, and I tried Bozeman since there was nothing in West Yellowstone, and I did find a place, but they couldn't get me in that day. I had like barely called before they were closing. Nobody could stay, so we had an appointment for her on Monday, but I knew in my heart that she couldn't make it that long. So I had also been told about an ER place in Bozeman, and so I called them. At first they were reluctant to want to take her, because they didn't specifically, you know, work with rabbits all the time, but the doctor there talked to me, and she said, you know, I want to help in any way I can, and there's no reason why we can't do an IV. And my other doctor had said that he would be happy to walk them through anything if they needed help. So long story short, I also called a friend of mine, sweet Christopher, who went to Peru with us last year on the retreat that I had there for the equinox, and he happened to live there, and we'd been talking a little bit before then because we were going to get together, and he said, if you need anything, you know, just let me know. And so I called and asked if I could stay at his house, because I was going to be having to drive an hour and 45 minutes, and it was nighttime or evening, and he said yes. So he was an angel to offer that. So I gathered everything together, and got her in the car and drove the hour and 45 minutes. And I know that was meant to be. Also, I'll rewind real quick. That day, while she wasn't doing good, I just knew. I said, she's not going to make it through this day. She's not. I know in my heart. And at the time, my good friend Janet was still visiting with us, and we were supposed to go hiking with her and Dave. And I said, I'm just not. I can't. I need to stay home. So they went, and I had stayed home all day with Joy, because I said I need to be with her. If something happens, I won't forgive myself, and I want to support her, and I want to give her everything possible that I possibly can, because she's my world, and I want her transition to be a beautiful thing and a loving thing, and for her to know that I love her so much. So anyways, I stayed. Okay, so fast forward, I drove the hour and 45 minutes to get her to the ER, and I didn't know if she was even going to make it through the drive, but she did, and she was moving around, and I kept checking on her, and I felt that was also a divinely orchestrated time, and I knew Joy just wanted to be with me, and it was just meant to be me and her together, and to have this special time. So on the whole drive, I played all of our favorite music that she and I have shared, and all of the music that I've dream journeyed with her, and the magical places, and I just was in those places with her the whole drive, and sending her all the beautiful visions that we've always connected with, and all of the love. And you know, all along I've always told her, I said, if you're ready, just go. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. I will, you know, of course I'm going to miss you. Of course I love you. And of course, it'll hurt, but I've gone through this, and I know I can get through it again, and Nestor helped me with that, and I've grown, and I know, I don't fear death, and I know the bigger picture, and it's okay. It's really okay. I know it's your time, and I don't want you hanging around for me. So I've told her that the whole way, and I blessed her, and I said everything that I wanted to say, and I thanked her for everything, and I just told her I love her forever, and we will always be together, and knowing that she would be free and no longer have to be hindered by any of the issues with her body, you know, in her age, because she had other things going on as well, which she had cognitive things, and perhaps even rabbit senility that had taken its course because she was old, and we don't know if she could have had an organic brain kind of degenerative thing that was going on, but she was there fully in heart, but her senses were not all there, and even if she had made it through, I was having to basically feed her by hand every day, and she couldn't find her food, and it was just, she was just declining. So, I thanked her for everything, and then that reminds me that that day at the chapel, when we went hiking, on the hike, I also found this beautiful, really sparkly quartz crystal on the hike, and it was the only crystal on the entire hike, which showed up right after I'd been connecting with her and thanking her and sending her energy, and I had told her all my gratitude, and I told her she was my little star, and she'd healed my heart from Nestor, because I never thought I'd have another bunny, and she came, and she was my healing angel, and I thanked her for that. And immediately after that is when I found that I knew it was a gift from her, and immediately after that, all these butterflies were all around me, and in the fields of the flowers, and that was another indication. I knew she was going. It's just a matter of the exact timing. But anyways, on the drive, like I said, I just spent all my time with beautiful music, sending her love, sending her peace, being in those beautiful places, and almost like preparing that bridge for her, because that's exactly where she was going to be once she transitioned, was in those dream visions, our special sanctuary places that we journeyed to all the time, and that I was with her in those moments, and it was just special and dear. And it was such a gift that we had that time, and we were driving in Montana, such beautiful scenery, and it was just me and her, just as it was meant to be. And she did make it. She made it to the ER, and I took her in, and they examined her and put her on the table, and she was just so tiny. She'd had her surgery with her stitches, and she was so thin, and she was so weak, and she just laid there on her side, and it was hard to see her that way, and I just gave her a lot of love. And then they put her in a separate area to prepare her for the IBs, and I was going to have to leave her there overnight, and then get her the next morning if she made it through, to take her into the actual vet, because they were only going to be watching her for me over the night, because I knew I couldn't take care of her. And so I brought her her stuffed rabbit, so she would have a friend with her, her enchanted rabbit friend. And I said all my goodbyes again, and I told her, I said, "You need to go. It's okay."
I understand, and I support you fully, and I want you to have peace, so if this is your time, it's alright. And it was so hard to leave her, because I didn't feel I'd see her again, but I realized later, there was purpose with that. And so the people told me that, if you don't hear from us, it's good news, and if you do, then I knew. So then I went to my friend's house and waited the night, and we were connecting, and I saw a message on my phone, and I said, I know, she's gone. So I listened to the message, called the doctor back, and I got the news that she passed. She didn't even make it to have the IV. They were just putting it into her, and they said she was so dehydrated and just so weak. They couldn't even get it into her vein, and she just took her last breath and was gone. And I'd been holding it together the entire time, even through the whole process, because I knew the best thing was to be strong. That was the best thing. I needed to be strong and centered for her. And I always kept my ego in check, because it's not about me, and it's not about my needs and my wants, but it was about what is the best thing for her. And knowing that that would be the best thing for me, even though my emotions, want to feel something else, I always was staying balanced, and and it wasn't like I was repressing anything at all. I was walking myself through realizing when ego would show up, and when I was stepping out of, unconditional compassion and the bigger picture at work, and stepping into the smaller personalization and judgment of things, because it's really just a natural cycle. And I didn't want her to be challenged, because I remember when I lost Nestor, I wasn't ready for it, and I had a lot going on in my life at the time too, but I was like, don't go, don't go, and I was doing everything to stop her from going, and that wasn't about her, it was about me. It was all about me. And I didn't want that for Joy, because I'd learned, and I wanted her to have the most beautiful, loving, peaceful transition, and for her not to feel, like she had to take care of me, because it was all about her, and this beautiful process of release and love and celebration of life and death, and I wanted it to be beautiful, so I didn't let any of that get in the way. So it wasn't until I got off the phone with the doctor at the ER that, the human aspect of me came in, and I broke down. And I just allowed those emotions, and I said, my beautiful baby, she's my baby, and she's gone. And I let that happen, because that's okay. And I told Joy the whole time, yeah, I'll have emotions, but no, that it's not any regret, and it's not about me, wishing you hadn't gone, and, being attached to it. It's just me expressing my love for you. It's just me expressing that, yeah, I'm gonna miss your physical, ness around me, but it's also me just so happy for you. And I just love you so much. And so I was just expressing that. And so it was just such a gift. My friend Christopher, I know that it was all lined up, that he was there for me. And he supported me through that process. And, I made a call to Dave and made a call to my parents. And later, I texted several of my good friends who had been helping, and Laura, my best friend, and let everyone know, and even the doctor that had helped me with Joy had found out, and he had called me, and he's just so incredible. But yeah, it was just Christopher was there and was able to support me, and I knew that that was all meant to be and set up that way. And I also knew that I was meant to take her, because part of me questioned, briefly, you have all these questions, like, did I do enough? Did I do this? But all of those, they lasted for a few minutes, and then that was it. And I knew that I had, there was no guilt of anything, feeling like I hadn't. But one of the questions that had run through my head was, should I have driven and taken her? But if I hadn't, she still would have gone. And I feel with all my heart that that's exactly what she wanted. And she wanted that private time with me and our special time in the car and all the visions that we shared and the love. And she didn't want me to see her actually go. I'd already seen enough, and I can visualize easily what it was like. I saw Nestor go, and, I did see Joy in her very declined state, which, still, I'll have those visions, and I'm very good at visualizing, so I can imagine what it was like when she went. But she didn't actually want me to see that, because she wants my life, just like I've changed and my processes are different. But she wants my life to be without trauma, and she wants it to be a beautiful experience. And I didn't need to have that again. And Gaia did the same thing, because Gaia left. She just mysteriously disappeared and never returned. So both of them, they're like, you've already gone through the worst, and it isn't necessary anymore. Your life can be more joyous and peaceful and graceful. And they wanted to spare me having more of those traumatized visions. And that's, one of their many, many, many gifts that they gave to me. So basically she left. That was the day after solstice. So basically in the wake of the solstice and the full moon and Sagittarius, all about expansion, new adventures, she expanded and is on her new adventure. And she went as peacefully as possible, as could have been. And I know that if I hadn't found that other angel doctor who did the surgery and removed and did all those things for her, she would have had a really, really painful death. And I didn't want that for her in any way. And I know that that was her greatest fear. She had no fear of death, just like I don't anymore either. She had a fear of the pain. And so it was all I could do to spare her of that. And I did, and I know she had a little bit, but it wasn't anything compared to what it could have been. And she didn't have to continue declining into such a horrid state with all of the other aging things that were going on. So it couldn't have been more perfect, and she aligned it with the solstice full moon portal. She got to be both here and there, and in this realm and another, and used it as the bridge to return to her cosmic essence. And now I know she is free, and she's with Nestor and Gaia, and they are my angels watching over me. And so I'm videoing this right now while Cosmo is at the vet. Cosmo ended up having surgery today. It's like, one thing after another. But good news is he made it through. So he will be in a recovery state over the next course of a few days and weeks. Nothing major, just minor stuff. He's a strong one, and my focus now is 100% on him. I know, he's a couple years younger than Joy, and he's physically stronger than Joy, even though he has the spinal injury.
But, you know, he's lost his love. He's lost joy, and so my focus is on emotionally supporting him, and the same thing, wanting him to live out whatever time he has left in the most painless, peaceful way, knowing with all of his heart, body, and soul that he is loved, and loved, and loved, so loved. And I know Joy is helping now, and I prepared things previous with that stuffed rabbit of Joy's. I had taken it out because I wanted her essence again reinfused into it, so that when she left, he would have that. So his stuffed animal is with him all the time, and it's enchanted, and it's quite alive, and so he has a little friend to help and make him feel like he's not quite alone. And like I said, he's pretty strong. He's a strong little guy. He's a trooper, and he did make it through his surgery, so I'll be picking him up in a few hours and have some new protocol of things that I'll be doing for him. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how long he has, but right now I think he and I are here to heal each other through this, and so I don't think he'll be going, you know, quite right away. And who knows, he might have longer than we think. But I do know that whenever he chooses, I will do the same for him in every way possible. I will give of my heart, soul, and body to make the process as painless as possible. And I'm going to give, you know, I give everything to him. It's the most important thing to me, because they're precious, and they're no different than me or you or anyone else. And I'm just so blessed to, I mean, it's the first time I've had elderly animal companions with me, so we really are living out our lives together, and that's quite a beautiful process to watch that naturally unfold, and just to know that we've shared so much love. And I'm grateful for that, and it's just inevitable, and I'm okay with that. Yeah, emotionally I'm crying, but it's so mixed with, it's just beauty. It's so beautiful, and the pain is, it's nothing like what I used to feel, because the ego attachment isn't there anymore. You know, I miss them, and it's more about, God, I just, you know, it's hard to watch somebody decline in front of you, and, you know, you want to remember them in their most vibrant way, but you know what, there is a beauty in that fragile state, and there's such a blessing and gift to know these fragile beings. I mean, in physical form fragile, but so powerful in soul form, are my responsibility, and that they trust me, and that I can care for them and nurture them, and that's such a beautiful gift. And to watch them through their growth cycles, and, you know, just like you would the trees and the flowers, your own human children, and you watch them grow. It's a beautiful thing, and to be there for them, you know, to the end. I mean, it's the most precious thing when a soul comes into your life. It's the most precious thing when a soul comes into your life, and when they leave your life. And what an honor to be there for both of those amazing passages of time. So I just want to send out love to Joy. This whole video is dedicated to you and the beauty that you are, and to know how proud I am of you. I mean, you were challenged when Cosmo came, and you didn't know if you could do it, but you wanted, and you opened your heart, and you helped him, and in the end, your heart was expanded, and you found the love of your life.
And I'm so grateful that I could be there for you and watch you blossom and watch you and Cosmo share that love and to give you the best possible life that I could. And know that you gave me the most beautiful life in the times that we've shared now and beyond now. And I am forever, forever yours. And I know we will meet again. We're always together. And I know you're my shining star up wherever you are, in and all around me, with Nestor and Gaia. And I'm so gifted with the three of you to be my angels. And I hope that I am as much of a blessing in your life as you have been in mine. I love you. Love you forever. I love you with heart, body, mind, soul. I would give my life for my little ones. And life and death is beautiful, and I'm grateful to be able to experience this kind of depth of feeling because of my little ones. They are the ones who have taught me the most about myself and feelings and life and death and being conscious in every moment. And I've had to make a lot of intuitional choices along the way, and I feel that they've taught me to tune in with that and to be aligned with the highest good. It's a beautiful thing. Joy is in my heart, and boy, has she brought me joy. Oh gosh, she's so beautiful. Thank you for listening to this video, and I hope in some way it's supportive. If not, I hope that maybe there's some inspiration or nurturing words or energy that might, at some point in your life, if you listen to this, touch you in some way. Death does not have to be a bad or fearful thing. Challenging to the emotions, yes. But, wow, I mean, when I look back at my journey, I gotta be proud of myself as much as I am of my little ones, because I am doing incredibly well with this, and nothing like when I lost Nestor and didn't know if I could go on. And I feel incredibly enriched, and myself expanded through the expansion Joy's gone through. I feel more in my essence, freer, and have even more love to give. So beautiful. Thank you again, and sending so much love to you. I hope that some of the love that I've shared with my little ones trickles out to all of you in some way and wraps you around like angel wings. Because life can be
graceful flow and a dance. And that's what I've discovered with this. With lots of love.